Hi, this is David Filippo, the left-handed right-winger again. Today I'm going to try something I said I wanted to, and I haven't really got the chance to quite do it the way I wanted to. I kind of wish I had more visuals for it, but maybe I'll wait and see, and maybe I'll update this and do a little more detail later on if things turn out better with this venture. What I'll do is want to talk about, essentially, I'm going to start right off at the bat with what I deem to be the greatest movie and movie series of all time. And it goes back to my childhood. I don't know how I started, but you saw the title, Back to the Future, and the entire trilogy. And honestly, the second one is probably my favorite. But I'll come to that more. I mean, I came across it. I want to say it was probably maybe 1986-ish. My parents were watching, and I woke up one early morning, and they happened to have it on. I don't know why, but they were watching it. And the first time I saw it, I was like, "This is weird. Why are you watching?" I couldn't get into it. And then they were watching it again another night, and I was like, "Are you watching this again?" And they said, "No, this is a good movie. You should watch it through." And I did, and I really liked it. And I guess, and it's still to this day, what really intrigues me, the whole concept of time travel. And it's true that it seems like this movie series has become the epitome of what time travel is. Like when everybody talks about time travel, they always go by the Back to the Future rules. Whereas if we're watching a movie, like another movie I may talk about, like the Terminator movies or Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, or I guess kind of Planet of the Apes in a way. Time Machine, I haven't seen that yet, but I heard it's a similar concept. But it's all different ideas of rules of time travel. But everybody seems to go by the Back to the Future model as it being the best. I mean, and the most understandable. Just take a car, has the right mechanical components, get it to 88 miles per hour. You have a dashboard display that tells you where to go, and it'll send you there. It's kind of cool, the whole thing's set up. And then, of course, you get the characters like, Michael J. Fox and Marty McFly, who's a teenager, who I still get into the fact that even now, he never really quite looked the part. I think, even though Michael J. Fox does look a lot younger than he is, you can kind of get the sense he's not exactly 17, the character is. He looks a little bit older than that, especially as the sequels go on, which kind of makes him kind of timeless, and which kind of begs for part 4 or 5 if they ever will do it, which it sounds like they won't. It sounds like Bob Gale, especially, and Bob Zemeckis are wholeheartedly against it, and the whole cast is against it if they won't do it. And I understand with Michael J. Fox's unfortunate Parkinson's disease, it makes it kind of difficult for him, although he did retire and then go back into acting, so I don't know if he'd be totally opposed to it anymore either. But it's just an exciting series to kind of watch it go, and basically the stories behind how they made it, and the whole idea that a whole bunch of movie studios said, it's not dirty enough. We want more movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Animal House. We want this raunchy comedy. They take it to Disney, and they say because of the whole scene with the Marty McFly character and his mother, that it's too dirty. You can't have this movie because it's just too dirty, so it's like you can't win. And it's kind of that stuff that kind of makes the whole idea, which made me think about getting involved in making movies, the kind of the fun behind the scenes stuff, the kind of the kind of crap that goes on that you have to deal with to make these movies. And this seemed to have a lot of it, like the whole thing about Michael J. Fox, who was secretly wanting to be in the movie, didn't know that Bob Gale and Bob secretly wanted him, but they couldn't get him because he was under contract to do Family Ties. He couldn't get out of it, so they cast Eric Stoltz, and Eric Stoltz didn't work out, so they got on their hands and knees and begged, I think it's Goldberg's guy, the guy managing Family Ties, said, "Fine, but if you can work around our schedule and Michael wants to do it, you can have him." So it's just wild, all the little pieces that happen to this. And then you get the whole fiasco you don't hear about as much, but I did learn about Crispin Glover going into the sequels, how he, I guess there was an issue with, they tried to use the makeup that they put on him to play George McFly, and you get the whole idea of someone's image, and I can understand that too. It's just kind of interesting how the way everything unfolded with that. And of course, the trilogy, special edition stuff doesn't really talk about that too much. But it's an interesting piece of the puzzle of, as to why George McFly isn't in the sequels, or rather, George McFly as played by Crispin Glover is not in the sequels. But it's interesting too. I guess you never thought of it. That's why he's dead in part 2, and that's why you don't really see a whole lot of him. He's upside down. He's out of the way. He's a tombstone. And again, it gets the whole interesting of the whole interesting of the way you make things work. Well, the actor that you need is not there. We'll write him out in a fancy way so people don't know. And that gets into the whole thing with part two. Part two, I think, is my favorite because it's a detailed plot. You have the idea of them going to the future, kind of where the story left off, and you kind of get into the innards of or the meanings of time travel and what the risks can be and all the desires we have. Who wants to be rich? So let's get this almanac that has all the secrets to the sports history, and we'll just use these and we'll become millionaires. And then, oops, it gets into the wrong hands. In this case, Biff Tannen. Spoiler alert! If I'm already, I'll just say now, spoiler alert, because I'm hoping you already seen it. If you haven't seen it, then you're living under a rock. But the idea that you have this almanac has all these answers, and then you find out you got to go back in time and stop at the point, not when this person got the almanac, but you got to go back to time when he received it when he was younger, which coincidentally also takes place in the same time of the first movie. And that whole thing, this whole other self, Doc's other self, Marty's other self, the whole concept of that is just so cool to watch. And I think it also ties in the fact, again, another thing, they were trying to make use of the, time is primitive now, but at the time they had these idea of what they called, I guess they called a Vista Glide camera, where they would take two shots at the same time, but essentially have two different actions go on at the same time, so that way you could have the same actor interacting with themselves, essentially, which kind of worked out in the first half when Michael J. Fox was playing himself older, his son, and his daughter. And there's a scene, too, where he's having a conversation amongst three of them at the same time. They cut it very well. But then you got the scenes, of course, when they're going back to the first movie, where you're trying to interlay the scenes together like that. And it's just a whole fascinating thing. And then they kind of they tie it all in to go into the third movie, which the thing I don't like about the third movie, but overall it kind of is a nice close to the whole thing. It's kind of fun going back to the Wild West, and the idea of the whole idea that the time machine needs to be changed so it can go back in time. They use the counterpart 1955 Doc to set everything up so he can go back to 1885. Of course, then the whole setup in Hill Valley of 1885 is kind of cool to see. And it's nice, the idea of the relationship with Doc and the Clara character. It just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't seem as fun and interesting for me. But I do like how at the end of the series, they do end it with this really interesting idea of pushing the DeLorean up to 88 miles with a train. Many times as a kid, my brother and I, or anyway, we'd have our toys, we'd set up, and you just kind of do the same kind of concept, set up a train to push a car. And even better still, as we got older, not so much in all of them, but Grand Theft Auto San Andreas actually would let you drive a train. All of them don't seem to let you drive it on your own as much, but you can drive the train on that one, and you can park a car in front of it and push it. And they go, hey, I'm going to push this car right up to 88 miles an hour. The car doesn't stay on the tracks too well, but the concept is there, and it's kind of fun. But it's just a great movie, and it just I don't know. I guess I get into the whole time travel thing. Time travel thing is fun. The character interesting to follow. The Doc Brown character, which is interesting too, is that Christopher Lloyd made him to be kind of like Albert Einstein meets Leopold Stokowski, which is kind of kind of an interesting thing. You can kind of see it. The excitement, the energetic. The way he reads. 121 gigawatt, 1.21 gigawatts. All this. It's just wild to see, and it's fun. It's fun. You can follow through to it, and you can watch it again and again. The characters are likable. The stories are interesting, and they all tie together so well. This is really why I wish they could find a way to make a fourth and fifth one. They did make a passable sort of 4 and 5 with this video game. I think it's Telltale makes it, and gameplay is kind of okay, but the story is interesting, and it kind of takes place in 1986, falling right after Part 3, and it has this kind of elaborate story going back into the 1930s, and then this alternate universe where Doc has this weird wife that's not really a great person, and they have this whole elaborate scheme where you can get back, and it's interesting. So I recommend checking it out. I mean, it's not great gameplay, but the story makes it worthwhile. Like I've played it a couple of times just to kind of see the story unfold again and again, just like I like all the movies, because it does play it out really well. And it's interesting to see a little more about the youth of the Doc character too, because they do play that out when you go back to the 30s. It's just really a great series, the whole thing. I like when I rate, the greatest movies of all time, all three come over there. Even though I will admit there are, like I personally like the second one as my favorite. First one is pretty good, and the third one is probably my least favorite. But as a whole, you kind of got to watch them as a whole, because they really made them all tie together pretty well and pretty close with us. So they're really good, and just my favorite movie. You're not gonna change my mind on that. And it's like one of those things. Like if I were a billionaire, I guess I would dump a good chunk of money in getting a DeLorean. Paying this. I think it's Bob's Pro Shop. He does a lot of work where he'll customize DeLoreans to look exactly like with all the fixings from Back to the Future. I would pay for that. Get it, all the sound effects, everything. I would soup it up. If I had the money, it would be fun. I don't think it's something I could worth do, because you're essentially just paying for a kind of a picture to look at, with the fancy and it sounds like it can wind up costing you close to $100,000 if you do it right. Anywhere to $50,000 to $100,000, because you got to buy the car, you got to buy the DeLorean itself, and have them put all the work into it. You got to have money to blow, and be in a business you can blow it. So, but it could be fun, because that to me would be awesome to be able to have it and sit in it. Every time I've gone to like shows where they have a DeLorean from Back to the Future on display, ropes all around it. You can't sit in it. I'm like, oh God, I just want to sit inside it. Put my hand on the time circuits, punch in the time. Oh man, but it's not gonna happen. But that's just it. That's my favorite movie of all time, the Back to the Future trilogy. Then we'll move on. And believe it or not, my runner-up to this, it would be the whole Die Hard series. Even though I really, really was disappointed with the fifth Die Hard, but the Die Hard series, that's probably the number 2. And maybe we'll do another video one day about the whole Die Hard series. That's cool, though. John McClane and action-packed adventure. No time travel, but it's still a fun story, very funny, and they could use of the characters, and you can watch it again and again. But for now, watch Back to the Future. If you haven't already. If you haven't, get out of that rock and check it out. I'll talk to you later. Bye.